Why is change so hard? No matter how badly you want to change your life, if you find yourself always falling back into the same old habits, or you feel stuck, or worse, you feel like you keep taking one step forward but then 2 steps back, in this episode, I'm going to share the biggest thing that's holding you back and the 4 tools you need to have in your tool belt if you want to transform your life. I've used these tools to take me from an office job to being a TV producer and host, from being a single mom with $0 in the bank to 5xing my net worth in less than 6 years, and from dying to be invisible when I was singled out to smile for a family portrait as a child, to speaking on live and virtual stages in front of tens to hundreds of people. These 4 tools are available to anyone. They don't have to cost any money. And tool number 4 is one of the most powerful tricks that will also make tool number 3 easier and way more fun. Welcome to Dreamsmith TV and the Kelly Wagner podcast, where I share strategies, tools, and resources to help you navigate change and transform your life into one that feels authentic, fulfilling, joyful, and free. When you have a change that you want or need to make in your life, whether that's with your health, your relationships, your job, or any area, the biggest thing you'll need to master isn't your calorie intake, your boss's mood, or any other people or circumstances. The biggest thing you'll need to master is your mind. And I'll be honest, my mind is the biggest thing that I need to get in the ring with on a regular basis. And there have been plenty of times when it has won the round, and I've sat there defeated in the corner or fallen back into old habits and patterns, sometimes way too long before I remember these tools and pick them back up to use them again so I can get back in the ring. Here's the thing about our minds. When left to their own devices, your mind is built for surviving, not for thriving. And while, of course, surviving is great, we all want to survive, but to the mind, surviving and staying safe means keeping things the same. So when you're looking to make a change, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, your mind at some level will deem it a threat just because it's unfamiliar. And your mind can and will keep you locked in a holding pattern that will hold you back unless you learn to manage your mind with deliberate effort and intent. Your mind is one of your most powerful tools. And this is true whether your mind is the sharpest tool in the shed or not. And it can be an incredible ally and accelerator that will help you. And just like actual power tools, you should never let your mind run without a skilled operator directing its activity. Again, ask me how I know this. So here are 4 powerful tools to keep in your tool belt, to use to master your powerful mind, to stop it from holding you back, and to start serving you to help you move forward, to move towards the health, the relationship, the job, or whatever it is that your heart is yearning for in this season of your life. Tool number 1 is knowledge. By default, your mind is designed to survive, so it's a little bit afraid of anything unknown. Even when there's something that you're excited about, underneath that excitement, there's also a little bit of nervousness about things that are not yet known. So one of the first things you can do to set your mind at ease is to learn how to. Now these days, that's easy. If you're watching this or listening to this, you have access to effectively the collective wisdom of humanity. You can learn anything you want to. Now, as someone who was around before the internet, I know how amazing this is. But I didn't have the ability, like we do now, to just at the click of a button, learn. Now, the access to information is so much that it's overwhelming. So it is important to know where and who to get your information from. But we also have great ways of figuring out what is a reliable source and who to learn from. Plus, here's the thing about getting knowledge. And this is a little bit of tough news that I've come to believe, but don't worry, we'll solve that with tool number 2. But if you're meant for some kind of big transformation, and that's not everyone, that's okay. Some people do have less transformation that they want or need to go through in their lives. But if you are meant for some big change, You'll probably be born into a family that knows nothing about that thing, or you'll be surrounded by people who have no experience with that thing, or worse, the family and people that you're surrounded by are even against that thing, or they think it's stupid or crazy or even wrong, and they'll be the first ones to try and talk you out of it. But I think that is the universe's collective way of trying to get us to evolve and grow. So for what that's worth, if it's feeling really hard to make the change that you want to make, then that's probably a change that you are meant to make. Learn from people who've had the kind of success that you want to have and who've done it in ways that you admire and respect. But definitely learn from people that you aspire to be like. And speaking of others, that leads us to tool number 2. Tool number 2 is support. Not everyone around you will have the experience or knowledge that you need to learn from, or will see the world and circumstances in the same way that you do, especially if you're wanting to do, be, or have something that is not in the lives of the people that most closely surround you. If most people around you are in less than desirable relationships and you want to cultivate healthier, happier connections with people, or if the people around you all eat super unhealthy, or they stay stuck in jobs that they just complain about, you've got to get with new peer groups and or a therapist or a coach who will help support you as you move towards your new way of being. Finding mentors or peers or support from people who also want to cultivate the same kinds of things that you are looking for, or who've already done the thing that you want to do. Those are critical tools that you need for support in overcoming the mind that wants to keep you safe in what it knows. But how exactly does this peer support work? Well, our minds are also wired for community. Even for those of us who love to spend time by ourselves, our survival can and does still depend on us being some part of a tribe or community of some sort. We need people to share life with. And so having support through peers, coaches, therapists, etc., helps your mind build that sense of community. Plus, the more people that you have around you that are doing or being or having the kinds of things that you want normalizes those things to our mind. So again, especially if it's something that you didn't grow up with, it's really important to be around other people who have and do those things so that it makes it feel more normal. Your brain starts to see more patterns of that happening in the world. Our minds are constantly looking around for what's safe, what's familiar, to find patterns in things. So the more people that we can be around, the more community that supports or engages with what you're doing, makes the whole experience feel safer to your mind. Now, this isn't to say to abandon the people in your life that aren't part of those things, but you've got to add people to your circles and spend more time with the people who will support, encourage, and teach you in the ways that you want to go. Now, there's nothing that beats real live, in-person, face-to-face, heart-to-heart connection with live human beings. But especially in the early stages, if you really don't have anyone around you doing the things, even virtual or digital support like a YouTube channel or a podcast, just listening to the people that are speaking in those arenas and spending more time in those conversations, even if they're one-sided in the beginning, are so helpful for building that support and that familiarity in your mind. Your mind, when it's not occupied with better things, will always default back to what is most normal, what it's most used to, and what's most common in its experience. Even when what you're used to is uncomfortable or unpleasant, it seems to not make any sense that your brain would prefer to stay in an uncomfortable situation just because it knows it and it's familiar. But sadly, that's how these things work. So if you don't stretch yourself and start to become the thing and surround yourself with the thing that you want to be doing or having, what you're doing instead is you're practicing the old way. You're practicing being the old you. You're practicing survival. You're practicing unpleasantness. So that is what becomes normal to your mind. So instead of continuing to practice and therefore reinforce the sameness and staying stuck, next comes tool number 3, which, as I mentioned at the top of this episode, is the fastest thing that you can do to transform your life. Tool number 3 is to take action. To break out of old patterns and habits, You just have got to do things differently. Is that easier said than done? Maybe, but there is no other way. If nothing changes, nothing changes. So start grabbing the apple instead of the bag of chips. Start staying and breathing through uncomfortable conversations rather than hanging up the phone or walking out the door. Take the new course and practice the new skill instead of what you always do every other day. It's true when they say that everything you want is on the other side of fear. But growth doesn't always have to mean taking a giant, scary leap into the unknown and hoping that the net will appear. I highly recommend some preparation and putting these tools and steps in place before you take a wild leap, just with your fingers crossed. But getting to the other side of that fear is more like just continuing to take steps that are just outside of your comfort zone. You've got to do it over and over and over again until it becomes comfortable enough that it's less scary. And eventually it will evolve from just less scary to more and more comfortable, more and more normal. The truth is that building up the courage does not mean that you finally find a way to squash the fear before you do the thing. It means that you do the thing despite feeling fearful, with as much knowledge and support as you need to just take the first step. Make the step small enough that it's just outside of your comfort zone, and then take it again and again and again. Eventually, your comfort zone will expand and you'll be able to take bigger steps. Years ago, around the time when I first released my first TV series, I felt this deep sense that I really needed to prepare myself. And remember, I was the kid who hid behind my parents' legs out of shyness as a child. So I joined a Toastmasters chapter to practice articulating and delivering my messages. And that was terrifying. I was filled with anxiety, and I would choose my wardrobe strategically to prevent people from seeing the all over body sweats that were happening. I would feel short of breath on the drive to the meetings every single week, feeling like I just couldn't get enough breath into my lungs. It was still hard for a long time, but the more I practiced, the more I took action, the more I felt the fear and did it anyway, the more my mind got familiar with these new drills I was putting it through. Now, I still get a little riled up when I need to speak in front of people, some groups more than others, but I promise you that once you take action repeatedly and your mind starts to get used to these new feelings, your body starts to get used to these new feelings, it will start to feel like your new normal. It will feel safer and less threatening, and that only comes from taking action. There was an old Will Smith movie, I can't remember which one it was, but there was a line that said, "Danger is real, fear is a choice." But it's so true. So much of the fears that we have come from what we're telling ourselves in our mind. And when your actions start to align more and more with the outcomes that you're desiring, your mind will also become more aligned with that future you that you are working towards being. And to help you align with that future you comes tool number 4, the most powerful thing that you can do to make taking the actions way easier and more fun. Tool number 4 is to adopt the identity of the person that you want to be, do, or have. Now, this can be one of the trickiest steps because one of the biggest hurdles that your mind will present is that when there's a disconnect between who your mind thinks of you as and the you that you want to be, your mind doesn't like things that don't line up. It's called cognitive dissonance. It's when your beliefs or thoughts don't line up with your actions and your behavior. Ooh, your mind does not like that one. But think about this for a second. Imagine or remember how uncomfortable or strange it feels at first to start suddenly calling this person your husband or your wife. It just kind of feels weird, even though it's 100% true the minute the officiant makes it official. The reason it feels weird is because your mind hasn't yet had time to identify with that title. Another example is when you are expecting your first child, you have 9 months to get used to this new title of mom or dad before you actually have to start acting like a parent. Well, okay, the mom probably has to start changing her behavior sooner than the dad, typically, but you get the idea. But one of the favorite stories of adopting the identity is my son. When he was 4 years old, was the first time we suited him up to play on a hockey team. So parents in the dressing room get him all suited up with all the equipment, and the last thing to put on was his helmet. And when we did, I sat back and I looked at him and I said, "Look at you. You look just like a real hockey player." And he sat back and looked at me, deadpan, and was like, "Mummy, I am a hockey player." Like, duh. He's suited up. He's about to go on the ice. He's a hockey player now. But it's a great example of how just deciding that you are going to be a thing can be powerful in terms of being able to step into that role with decisiveness and conviction. And the reason that identity is one of the hardest things that you'll come up against when you're stepping into something new or trying to transform your life is because your mind is so slow at developing those connections and building those memories and understanding those patterns of what it means to be that person. But just literally developing and practicing your belief that you are that thing now is a huge step that will propel you forward. So how exactly do you just develop this belief that you are that thing? The thing about beliefs is that beliefs are actually just thoughts that you've thought over and over and over again. And in any circumstance, it's the thoughts that generate the feelings that you're having about it. You can put two people in the exact same circumstance, and depending what they're telling themselves, they may have a very different experience. So your thoughts generate your feelings, and together, those things contribute to what actions you take or don't take. And then those actions, in turn, give you a result. They give you the outcome that you experience. And those outcomes then reinforce your thoughts or build new thoughts. And so this pattern of thoughts and feelings contributing to actions which lead to outcomes just becomes this cycle. So what you need to start to do is think about the identity of the person that does or has the thing that you're after. What kind of thoughts are going through their mind over and over? Would they ruminate about all the things they're scared of, about all the things that people might do or think about them, all the things that they still don't know yet, the things that they're still not great at or that they don't have yet? Or would you stand tall and confident? Would you tell yourself that you're resilient and resourceful and you can figure it out? How do they feel? How do you want to feel when you achieve that thing? How do they act? How do they behave? What do they do that's different from what you're doing now? So just start by deciding, I am fill in the blank. I am healthy and vibrant. I am a loving partner. I am a successful whatever it is that you want to be. The sooner that you adopt the identity, the sooner you will have the outcomes that you are seeking. But you can skip ahead and accelerate your results in a powerful way when you jump straight to the actions and combine tool number 3 with tool number 4 by doing the actions that the person in the identity that you're seeking would be taking. Start acting as if. Now, people don't like that phrase sometimes, acting as if, because they often talk about faking it till you make it, but it's not about faking it. Are you faking being a husband or wife when you first get married, or being a mom or dad when you first become a parent? Are you faking it the first time you step onto the hockey rink? No, you're not faking it. You're just new and you're still learning maybe, but the only way that you can learn is by doing the thing. Let's face it, you can read all the books and take all the classes, but until you actually get out there and start doing the thing, that's how you really learn and start to identify as that person. That's why acting as if is one of the 13 fundamental ingredients in my Magic and Miracles formula for transforming your life and starting to live the life of your dreams today. So if you don't already have the Magic and Miracles formula, get over to kellywagnerkw.com right now and get it. It's free. It's an instant PDF download. One of my favorite movie examples of just acting the way that the transformed person would be is a movie that came out several years ago called Brittany Runs a Marathon. And she is completely not a marathon runner when she first starts, but it's a beautiful story of starting to behave and do the things that the person you're desiring to be would do. All you have to do is use these 4 tools. Tool number 1, get the knowledge that you need. Tool number 2, the support. And then tools 3 and 4, you start to act as if. You start to adopt the identity of the person and behave like that person would behave. You may not be great at first, but that's the only way to get to great, is by starting to do the thing. So those are the 4 powerful tools that you can start using today to start to overcome your biggest obstacle to the life that you dream about and turn your sometimes pesky mind into a powerful tool that serves you instead of holds you back. Now, if you found something helpful in this episode, make sure to hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons. It's free, it's easy, and it's one of the best ways you can help me keep this content coming. Plus, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, you can go to the main show page and leave up to a 5-star review. And don't forget to get over to kellywagnerkw.com and download that free Magic and Miracles formula. It's the 13 fundamental ingredients you'll need to start living the life of your dreams today. Remember, you shining your light is what lights up the world. I'm so glad you're here, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. In this episode, I'm going to share the 4 things. So here are 4, and this is true whether you are the sharpest shed in the tool or not. Maybe cumulatively, maybe cumulatively, but not all at once, yet. Your mind, which is almost that there could ever want to be known. Ooh, your mind does not like that one. Ooh, your mind does not like that one.